See, the trial passages are shorter, 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 but they're the same height and width. Okay?
What are those passages? In the ground beside the pyramid?
They're in the ground beside the pyramid, 100 yards to the east. It's 100 yards from the northeast corner of the pyramid. Now, the Egyptian government used those trial passages for a long time as an incinerator. And no one's been inside of them for over 10 years. They're filled with garbage and sand. So to me, I remember when Lynn and I led a group of high school kids to London, Paris, and Rome. And I remember when we went to Rome, we heard the stories about how the Colosseum, not too many years ago, wasn't protected by the Italian government. People just went in there and took stuff. We just took it for granted today. George Washington slept there. This is George Washington's house. There's going to be things around. You're going to pay an admission. There's going to be all kinds of stuff. You go to, you can see Ronald Reagan's boyhood home, and you go over to, Dixon, Illinois, take a little tour and all that stuff. Well, you assume that governments always did, but nobody took care of the, of the Colosseum. People could just, and so here's modern day, beautiful, famous archaeological piece right 100 yards from probably the most visited monument in the world, except for the Eiffel Tower, probably. And the Egyptian government lets it be filled with sand and garbage. So I'm going there to petition them to open it up, because I want to study it, because I think, yes.
Do you think this is the origin of the idea that there's secret passages under the...
It's not the origin, it's just one, it's a manifestation of how unwilling the Egyptian government is to search out potential hidden things, because here's the thing that's not hidden. We know it's there. It's super meaningful. It's not the Hall of Records. It's not one of those hidden things that's never been found. It's something that's been found and known about. If they won't even clean that out, how are we ever going to get them to, go dig a hole into the Sphinx or something, right?
Do you think that maybe they have found it out and there's something they don't want people to know?
About the trial passages specifically?
Yeah. So they haven't told them?
There's a number of pyramids that are now military sites, and you can't go in there even with special permission. It's like that. I do think that they have done some of that. The guides, the tourist guides that I talk with, the people that are close to the tourist industry, they all believe that antiquities, the Ministry of Antiquities, is a mafia. I just heard the news before I came here. There was a mafia slang in Chicago. It wasn't Chicago, it was in New York.
New York.
New York. Yeah, we haven't heard about those in a while. So, that kind of mafia is, because they say Zahi Hawass was selling goods for a while, So yes, I do think that they do that, but for this, and it would be hard to put a military containment around this. So maybe filling it up. You know what? Ask me that when I come back, because I've got a growing following on Instagram, and somebody from Egypt said he was asking me a bunch of questions. I'm thinking, this is not my personal account. I'm putting stuff about the pyramid on this account. Like, go to my family page if you want to chit chat with me. But I kept talking with him. You have to make decisions all the time, but when you get somebody who befriends you, you don't know them, you got to decide if you're going to friend them or not, right? We all have to go through this in the social media days. So I felt I got rewarded by staying with him, because he's talking to me, and he says, well, how would you like to meet, Dr. Al-Wadi? He used to be the head of antiquities. There was Zahi Hawass, and then Al-Wadi, or how do you say his name? I said, I'd love to meet him. So he set up a meeting for him. So I'm going to meet, one of my meetings is going to be with the guy who was the former head of antiquities, and I've got another meeting with somebody from antiquities. So the point is, if I hit a dead-end wall with something that's so obviously, let me tell you a couple of reasons it would be good to restore this. Not only from my point of view, because I think, well, let's see, let me see if there's a video for this. Yeah. So there's where they are. There's the visual answer to your questions. Me talking with one of the guides that he became friendly with there. You can see me, and I'm pointing right to the trial passages right there. Okay. So, all right. Let me talk more about them here, and then I'll get back to your questions. So hold me to it. So there's the actual pyramid interior. There's the trial passages. Okay. So there's the descending passage. All right. There's the descending passage. Okay. Here is the first ascending passage. There is the first ascending passage. Okay, here is the Grand Gallery. There's the Grand Gallery. Okay. Here is the Queen's Chamber. Now, in the trial passages, it's not extended. As I said, they're shorter, so it's just stubby. But that's the Queen's Chamber. and there's Queen's Chamber.
Are these actual stones built in the ground so you can travel down them?
Yeah, just as these are actual passages inside the Great Pyramid, these are actual passages in the ground to the east of the Great Pyramid. You saw, did you see the picture I showed you with me pointing? That
Right
was
there,
that.
you can see it right there. But they're
Yeah,
under
there's
the
me
ground.
pointing right there.
They go down.
This is me next to the Great Pyramid. I'm pointing at the trial passages.
And they're filled with garbage, and they have like just a chain and a lock by them right now. You can't go in there.
Yeah, because she took this picture of me. That's how she knows.
He's trying to get it restored so that people can go in there again. That's one thing.
Okay, and so one of the reasons, but let me just finish this slide here. So this is interesting right here. So this is the descending passage, but we already had the descending passage. Why did I put a 5 on it? Because Le Mercier, in his book The Great Pyramid Decoded, Peter Le Mercier, says that this part is the subterranean chamber, which is this horizontal passage. This is the descending passage, but we already had that up here. He says that, so somehow, if it's true that it's shifting the symbolism, it's saying a thing that's horizontal, it's depicting as going down. So I'm still researching that. So this is from the Messier's book. So you can see he's got the descending passage here. He calls that the descending passage, which is this whole thing. But he says this, which we would think is part of the descending passage, he calls it the subterranean passage. So he's saying that somehow they might be likening this to that. So that's something worth studying. And that raises the question, my wife Lynn just talked about why I want these restored, because I think there's a lot of research that could be done a lot cheaper than going to the Great Pyramid. They built, these $1 million robots to go in there and do research. It costs a lot of money to get private permission to go in there. I know I've been inside the Great Pyramid 3 times with private permission, and it takes a special permissions from the government, and you got to pay money along the way to get those. Besides filling out all the forms. So that's my interest as a researcher. I want to see what's in the trial passages. Now, 6. That's supposedly the well shaft. But look at where this is. This well shaft seems to come out of this point right here. So how can they say that's the well shaft? So that's where the well shaft should be. So what is this? What is this? So we've done some videos before about the trial passages, so make sure you look at those.
Yeah.
The trial passages are built right near the Great Pyramid. There's the top view of the Great Pyramid. That's where the internal passages are in the Great Pyramid. So I made a replica of that. And if you take that replica and bring it down to where the satellite pyramids are, the center of those, the passages of the Great Pyramid line up exactly with where the trial passages actually exist. So this shows that it was built by the original builders, and there's some kind of serious meaning here, a serious key being given us by the builders. Another thing about, here's the picture of the Great Pyramid interior, and then the trial passage is a side view. So you can see where the ascending passage meets the grand gallery. That's the similar point in the trial passages. And you can see the descending passage in the Great Pyramid. There it is in the trial passages. And so people have said that this particular part of the trial passages is the same as the well shaft. There's no way that's the same as the well shaft. There is an indication that there is definitely a secret chamber inside the Great Pyramid. To me, this couldn't be more obvious. And this is not that there's all those other videos out there claiming all this, oh, this is the new room, oh, we found it, oh, it's built by aliens. No, this is based on a serious study of the archaeology at Giza, and it's showing that in the trial passages, which are the life-size replica of the actual passages in the Great Pyramid, that there's a passage that's not shown in the interior, just because Al-Mamun, when he broke into the Great Pyramid in 820 AD, didn't find that. But it's there for simple finding, and what it might indicate, it's incredible. Look, it points right toward where those droids have been found. So the trial passages could be an incredible key to the meaning of the Great Pyramid. And all this dancing around the Great Pyramid, there's a room, there's a tomb, there's a inside the air shaft, there's a special people. The Great Pyramid is symbolism. There's no gold and silver. There's no final hall of record that's going to have some scribe writing the history of everything that happened, how they cut with laser weapons, the exact granite sizes they did. No. The Great Pyramid is a symbolic monument meant for us at the end of time to gain meaning from. And this shows some incredible meaning that's hidden. Follow this channel. Follow this channel. So I have put in for a grant to clean up the trial passages because there's a tremendous amount of sand and garbage in there, and that's what my meetings with antiquities are going to be about. So I'm going to try and do my part. Now I'll finish with this, and then we'll take a break. There's another. First thing I've written here is how they might have given special guidance to Al-Mamun. So here is a diagram I made of the Great Pyramid. So here's the descending passage. Here's the first ascending passage. And here is where Al-Mamun in the year 820 AD chiseled, dynamited, and chopped his way in and found the first ascending passage, the Grand Gallery, and the King's Chamber. Until 820 AD, these passages had never been written about by any ancient researcher, traveler, or anything. They were basically discovered then. In other words, the path up to the King's Chamber, which is supposedly where the Pharaoh was supposed to have been interred, that was the first time they had been found. Because the door that was here, which is now closed by the Egyptian government, everybody who enters the Great Pyramid comes by this intruder way. This intruder was never part of the original intention. And when you enter, this is the way you go in today. The original entrance, again, which the Egyptian government has closed, if you would have found a way in there, and it seems to me that the designer designed it in such a way that you were never meant to go. But there was a stone door that was on a wooden dowel, so a huge swinging wood door that was almost impossible to push from the outside, but if you were inside, a child could have pushed it. So it's in Egypt, if you know Egyptology, there's a lot of false doors. If you go in the Valley of the Kings, well, this is a false door, this is a false door. They have these false doors. Well, this isn't a false door, it's a real door, but it's sort of like a false door. Like it seems like no one was ever meant to get there. But there were reports, a few from previous times, unlike there was no reports here, that people knew that you could take this all the way down to a lower passage, just like all the other pyramids in Egypt. The Great Pyramid is the only pyramid in Egypt that has upper passage systems, the only one. So when you came to this point, you had no hint that there was a passage right there. It would be like if it was on the other side of this wall, there's this huge passage up to a treasure house. We'll never know it because we just walk by and it just seems like the rest of the wall. So Al-Mamun, who was really, he wasn't just like a Muslim in search of treasure. He was a learned man. He was a scholar. He had read about the things that could be in the pyramid. He wasn't just looking for the gold, the silver, and the jewels because he knew that probably wouldn't be there. He was interested in things like the Hall of Records, the things like these more esoteric things. That's what he wanted to find. Okay, so a scholar really, motivated by scholarly motives, has this guys chisel, chop, and dynamite, and he just happens to go straight across and find the place. Okay. Trial passages. Could it be that his men went to the trial passages? You saw where they are. You saw me standing there. Could it be that he went in there and saw, hold it, in the trial passages, I see this. Nobody knows anything about that in the Great Pyramid. So he finds the door, because again, the trial passages tell you what this looks like. They find the door, so they come all the way down here. They go all the way to, let's see, did I put another picture in? Yeah. Okay, so you go up, no, I guess I did. It goes all the way down to the subterranean chamber, and the well shaft connects. So you could go down this, you come through that original door, you could go down here, with very great difficulty, you could get up this. It's almost like climbing a mountain vertically. And it's all dark in there, and bats and dung, and you're half suffocated. You could get up here, get up there, and see that there was a sarcophagus there. And there's a lot of good evidence that even though now the sarcophagus doesn't have a lid, there's a lot of evidence there was a lid on it at the time. So when men do that, they go up there and they say, boss, there's a lid up there. And the sarcophagus. Okay, so since he got that information, he knows exactly where to bore. He's got that information, so he knows exactly where to bore. So they go in there, now he gets in there, because, I should have mentioned this, the sarcophagus, which is in the king's chamber, couldn't fit out through that well shaft. As a matter of fact, the sarcophagus couldn't. The top to the sarcophagus, which is not there now. If you've been to the Great Pyramid, you've seen pictures, there's no top. The top could have come out, it couldn't have fit through the well shaft, but it could have come out this way. So even though he wanted gold and silver and jewels and the Hall of Records and the Book of Thoth and wanted all that stuff, all he got was the top of the coffin. So that's the first thing I want to say about the trial passages. And the one other thing I want to say, and this is the appeal I'm going to make to the Egyptian government, is I've been in the Great Pyramid, and people get panic attacks in there. It's very claustrophobic. They're like this. It's dark. It's can be hot or cold. And some people get overcome, like with fear, like there's nowhere to go. It's like And so I came out, and this one woman was having a panic attack right in front of me. And the Egyptian government usually has one person in the Great Pyramid, and it's a minimum wage kind of person, and they're up in the king's chamber. So when you come out of this chamber right here, you're not up in the king's chamber yet, and that's where people tend to have these panic attacks. And so I thought, well, I've got to get her mind off of this. I'm not a psychologist, but I took a risk. I put my arm on her shoulder. I don't usually touch a woman on the shoulder, but I took her like this, and I brought her over to a spot, and I just had her talk to me. I asked her questions about herself, so she could get her mind off this. And she said to me at the end of that, you saved my life. Well, I didn't save her life, but okay, so that story is what I want to tell the Egyptian government, because you know what? People that might be in that situation, I just had one of my Instagram followers tell me yesterday about it. She went to pyramids 5 years ago, and she went 100 feet in, and she got scared and came out. She couldn't take it, claustrophobic, okay? So it's a relatively common phenomenon, and you don't want to spend all that money and go over there and find, So the trial passages, if you just clean them up, Egyptian government, remember they're the same size as the passages up there, but they're just right here on the earth. They're right here. We can just walk right, you can go right down into them. And people, if they pay the admission, the 300 Egyptian pounds to go inside the Great Pyramid, they can just take that ticket here, put a guard there during the day, a minimum wage person, and then with that ticket, you let them go in and they can practice and see if they can handle it or not. And then if you could publicize that worldwide, anything that helps tourism. Anybody knows that. As a matter of fact, there's currently, Egypt has a woman head of tourism, and I follow her on Instagram. She's fantastic. She's had all kinds of events and things, and she's connecting with companies and stuff, and I can't even think of some of the amazing things she's done. So a thing like this, a positive news story around the world, the papers in France and Germany and China saying the trial passages have been reopened for the first time in 10 years. People can go in there and take a sample and see how they'll do it. These are the original. It could be powerful, right? So that's one of my missions when I go to. Okay, so those are the two things. So I'm done. So this is the time for questions. If not, let's go over the restaurant. Yeah.
I have 200 questions, but I want to ask them all. So you said that the one Great Pyramid with the ascending passage is supposed to symbolize the heavens and God.
Well, I think it's to me it's significant. If there is symbolism in the pyramids, and the Freemasons certainly think so. A lot of people think so. There's a lot of symbolism there. The Great Pyramid is the only pyramid in Egypt with upward passage systems. It's the only one. So that seems to me to be significant.
So do you think that the trial passages or the underground passages are supposed to symbolize the underworld or hell?
But here's the thing. the trial passages are the same passages as the ones that are in the Great Pyramid. It's like they're like models.
But they're on the ground.
But the ones in the pyramid are encased by stone. What's the difference between being in the middle of stone or being in the middle of the ground? In both cases, it's potentially claustrophobic.
I think she means like what's the symbolism of the ones going down in the Great Pyramid or in the trial passages. That's what she's saying. What's the symbolism or belief about the upward and the downward?
Well,
like that?
if some people think like a lot of the alternative theorists think that if Khufu did anything with the pyramid, it was just he finished something that was already there. So there's a lot of belief, especially among alternative people, that there was other things there, and I think there's a lot of truth in that. There's other things there that they just kind of finished. So if you say this was the base of the Great Pyramid, so the Great Pyramid eventually gets built on it, but before it was, here's the base. Well, you've got that right there. That descending passage that goes down like this. This is the bedrock right here, so that's the ground level. That's where the trial passages are at this level right here. This is 19 courses up. That's ground level. So if you say before the pyramid was built, this was probably built first. This is probably one of the things that was there before Khufu built this pyramid. That's what people say. So that was already built there, the same as the trial passage. In other words, there was no pyramid, but there was this hole in the ground that goes down to the subterranean passage. So some people think that the trial passages were meant to have a pyramid put on top of them, because they're almost in a position, you've got the 3 satellite pyramids of Khufu, and then the trial passages are almost like in the position of a 4. So they think just like the Great Pyramid at one time probably had just this, and then they put rocks on top of it, that maybe that, but then a lot of Egyptologists think, no, there's a debate about that. So I don't know if that helps, but let your mind keep spinning, because your ideas are as good as anybody else's. So that's how theories are birthed.
What do you know about the 4th pyramid that was destroyed in the 1700s, and how it fits with?
Well,
this?
I've got another 4th pyramid, a different 4th pyramid. It's one of the things I'm going to study when I go there. These little videos I showed you are 1 minute. Instagram allows 1 minute videos. So my YouTube videos are longer, but I've gotten good at making 1 minute videos. So I showed you some of my 1 minute videos there. And so in that 1 minute video, if you picked it up, what was your question again?
What's your
The 4th pyramid,
Okay.
which was destroyed by the 1700s.
One of those where I said it's not just in Giza that the pyramids are aligned the same as the 3 stars. Remember I named all those other pyramid groups? Okay. One of those pyramid groups, all of those pyramid groups I mentioned, the Japanese, the Chinese, the Mexican pyramids, all have a 4th pyramid. And except for Giza. And where the 4th pyramid would be in Giza is in a different place than the 4th pyramid you're asking me about right now. So I am going to look at the one I found through looking at those other ones, and it's in a residential area in Cairo. So Giza. So I'm going to walk around a residential area. So it's probably anything that would be there is probably long since bulldozed over. But I'm going to look in that area just to see if I can see any signs of that 4th pyramid. Now the 4th pyramid you're talking about, I've seen pictures of it. You see, because drawings that were drawn then, when you see the Giza Plateau, there's this 4th pyramid sitting. It's in the other direction of the one I'm talking about.
I have a hand sketch drawing by a French artist of all 4 pyramids from the 1785.
I've seen pictures in books, and every time I see one, I go, man.
Yeah, and it's in the opposite end.
It's at the opposite. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's the one I'm talking about that I'm going to try and find something about.
Because
Because I don't have enough information about that, other than I've occasionally seen that picture.
I can send you the picture.
Yeah, well, let's make sure. You're going to go to the restaurant?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make sure we connect on that.
So then there'll be a 5th pyramid?
This will be a 5th pyramid.
Do you
And,
think
and
all-
here's the thing: I couldn't, in the diagrams that when I was researching this, just for that little video I showed you, where it's saying it's not just the Giza pyramids; it's these. There was it the Japanese or the Chinese? I can't remember. I think maybe it was the Chinese ones. Anyways, what I did was I took the Google Earth or whatever of those, I superimposed it over Giza, and then so I know what blocks in that neighborhood in Giza are where the 4th pyramid would be, if I can trust the stuff that I saw online, which I don't know how how accurate it was. So I'm kind of fishing in the dark on that one.
But do you think the other locations have 5 pyramids too?
Well, this one's still a mystery. This one's still a mystery to me. This could, there's a few pictures of it, but there's not, like, there's so much history, so much of the stuff, there's not much history about that one other than these pictures that pop up from time to time. So I'm not doubting that it was there, but there's no research at all. Like yes, so-and-so went there, documented, here's how big it was, here's how tall it was, here's where the entrances were, because almost all the pyramids have that, but not that one. So I don't, that's why I'm interested in it. It's a mystery that I don't have the answer to.
Is there any idea when that pyramid was torn down?
Well, just by pictures, we know that it was there in the picture that she has.
1785.
And then
it was still
pictures
there.
like right soon after that, it's not there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's like, where did it go? No, there's no record. That's what I'm saying. It's not only there's no record of how tall it was, because even like Abu Ruwash, which is 13, kilometers north of Giza, it was Khufu's son, Jadefri, that went up there to build a pyramid. There's nothing left of his pyramid. But we know all about how big it probably was going to be. We know all kinds of stuff. This one she's talking about, we don't know anything. There's nothing other than pictures that show it was there once.
Well, who destroyed? Do we know who destroyed it? Was it the?
No, that's what I'm saying. We don't know anything.